Hey, what's up everybody? So today what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you a couple of things about this pistol right here. This is a semi-automatic pistol, which means that it's not a revolver. Instead, the way the pistol works is you put a magazine in here and it loads the cartridges, also known as bullets to many people, into the chamber and they're ready to be fired from the magazine. A pistol that is a good example of not semi-automatic pistol is like an older one-shot pistol where you just put the bullet directly into the chamber, or a revolver, for example, that just has a bunch of different chambers. So this is what they call a semi-automatic pistol. And with this particular model is a SIG Sauer P226. And it's kind of like the full-size version of this particular class of SIG Sauers, which are actually very good guns. So the purpose of this video is if you own a SIG Sauer 226 or another SIG Sauer similar to this, I'm going to demonstrate a few safety kind of checks and basically give you a little safety overview of this gun. Okay? So first thing you always want to do whenever you're going to be messing with the gun is you want to check and see if the gun is loaded. So you want to make sure that it's not loaded. And so this is what you need to do. The first thing you want to do is you want to look up at here and make sure there's no magazine in there, okay? There's no magazine in there, you know, if you hold up to the light, you can probably see some light through, you'll see there's no magazine in there. Now, the second thing you want to do is you need to check the chamber right here. This is the chamber, okay? In order to check this chamber, though, you have to pull the slide back. This is the slide right here. The reason why they call it a slide is because it slides. It goes like that. And when the gun goes off, the force from the gunpowder exploding forces the slide back, and then the action of the slide kicks out the spent shell out the side, out here, and it also recocks the gun right here, as you can see. So the way the slide works, when you fire the gun, it goes bam like that, it kicks a bullet out, and it also recocks the gun so that it can be easily fired again the second time. And the other thing it does is it draws another bullet up from the magazine in here to be fired again. That's why they call it a semi-automatic, or actually the original term for this was automatic pistol. The reason why they call it semi-automatic now is because it's not a machine gun pistol, and so that's how they differentiate between the two. So nowadays an automatic pistol would probably most people would think of it as like a pistol that can fire rapid fire. Okay? So anyway, back to checking the gun though. What you're going to do is you're going to pull this back, and I'm going to lock it back just to show you. This is a slide lock, by the way. You push that up, it locks it back. You push it up like that, it locks it back. So now the slide is open. It's locked back. And you look at here, and you see, make sure there's no bullet in there, okay? What I'm doing is a physical inspection as well as a visual inspection. I'm looking in there to make sure there's no bullet in the chamber, and I'm also checking with my finger. Now what you want to do is you can look through there as well, and you can see how there's also still no magazine in there. Okay? That's just kind of a demonstration to further demonstrate, because you can see all the way through the gun. So there's obviously no magazine in there. So now what you want to do is, you know the gun's not loaded, so I'm going to demonstrate to you a couple other things about the gun. You can drop this back down by just pulling it back, or you can also have pressed that slide lock button. So for example, I'll do it again. Slides lock back, you can press this down. You got to give it a firm push, and like that, and it will unlock. So anyway, so yeah, working out what I was saying before, the slide cocks the gun back and also reloads and does a couple other things for the gun, and it does all this based off of the gun's power. Now the last thing I'm going to explain to you today and show you is the decocker. Okay? Now as I explained before, when you fire the pistol, what happens is the slide goes back like this, and then it ejects the cartridge, it brings a new cartridge up from the magazine, and then it also recocks the gun. Okay? And what this means, it means it's cocked. This is the hammer. And that means that when you press this trigger, that hammer's going to drop and it's going to fire the round. Now, as you can see here, this trigger it doesn't require much pressure to go off right now, to drop this hammer. And the reason why is because this is what they call a double action trigger, which means that the trigger in the gun actually does, or is capable of doing two different things. So I'm going to drop this. I'm going to decock it right now using this lever right here. Once again, this lever is the slide lock lever, locks the slide back, and this lever right here is the decocker. Now what this does is when you press it down, you'll see that in a two-action motion, it drops the hammer safely without firing the gun. And in the manual it says that that's really the only safe way to drop the hammer. In other words, you shouldn't be trying to do it manually with your finger because it'll go off. And so every single time you pull that decocker, it's going to drop the hammer, but it's going to do it in, like I said, a slower motion, and it's not going to apply the pressure to fire the gun. And so, as you can see now, the trigger actually moved up. This is in double action mode right now. This means that the trigger has to do two things. When you pull the trigger, it has to pull the hammer back, and then it has to drop it. And in order to do that, it requires a lot more finger pressure. And this is the reason why the decocker can be considered a form of a safety for this gun. Because when it's cocked back like this, it's going to go off real easily when you press the trigger. I think it takes maybe 4 pounds of pressure or something. It basically feels like nothing when you pull it. It's very easy to fire the gun. However, when it's decocked like this, you have to put a significant amount of pressure to fire the gun on the trigger. And maybe it's about 15 pounds or so. I can't remember the exact amount, but it's a much greater amount than when it's just cocked back already. So if you're going to holster this gun or carry it in any way, most people will carry it like this, because if you carry it cocked, then if you drop it or if you accidentally hit the trigger, it's going to fire. And, you know, nobody wants that. So that's pretty much it. As I explained before, just to kind of review, slides right here. When you fire the gun, it goes back like that and comes back forward. You can lock the slide back by pushing that slide lock up. To check to make sure the gun's unloaded, you look through here, make sure there's no magazine in there, and then you look in the chamber, feel around the chamber, and make sure there's no round in there. Now you know it's not loaded. You can drop the slide back down, and there you go. Now I'll decock it, and I'll put it away. So once again, this is a SIG Sauer P226. It's a 9mm version. And that was a video explaining to you how to check the gun, see if it's unloaded, and how the decocker works. Now the decocker is available on other SIGs as well. I think all in the 220 series. And basically anything that's listed as having a dual action trigger that's going to have that decocker in the SIG line. So other brands also have a decocker, but I have a SIG, so that's why I explained it with a SIG. So everybody have a good day. Thanks for watching, and always remember, be safe. Thank you.